What do you expect in a starter kit?
About a week ago, I got a message from Daniel Fox. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but if that name sounds familiar to you, it probably should if you follow this channel, because we have looked at many of his products in the past, some of which we have purchased and some of which he was kind enough to send our way for comparison or for review. Daniel Fox is, of course, the creator and primary force behind the role-playing game known as Zweihander and all of its developing product lines. So we've looked at several different, let's say, editions of Zweihander, from its earliest conceptions to its current form. We've looked at its player's guide. We have looked at the spin-off game Flames of Freedom, and so on and so forth, and all of the accessories that go along with it, the monster cards and the GM screen and the Game Master and players playmats and these kinds of things. So we have a lot of experience talking about quality of production, the evolving stages of trying to get a better product with each iteration. It's been a real joy to see the development of the physical product for Zweihander. Now, I wasn't going to do the unboxing part for this particular video because it was sent to me by FedEx. So not the typical delivery system. But when I opened it up, inside I found a new favorite mechanism for safety, which is this envelope of small, long air pillows. So not the sort of air pillow that we get from Amazon, not bubble wrap, but really big, beefy layers of these independent tubes. It goes all the way around. There's padding in every direction. Right? So this is my new favorite delivery method. Hopefully it becomes available to everybody, and this technology can help us tip the scales on that dreadful war versus good quality books and safe transit of books between us and the Postal Service. But anyway, without any more talking about packaging, let's take a look at what Daniel Fox was kind enough to send me.
People still come up to me and yell, "What's in the box?" I gotta go.
Who's in the box?
Because I envy your normal life.
Put the gun down, baby.
Freed from its cardboard and plastic and air pillow packaging, it is now mostly revealed, but not yet fully clarified, that we have received the Zweihander Fantasy Horror RPG Starter Kit. This is a very, very solid box. It's weighty. It doesn't feel like a box of air with, just some cardboard and slender books inside. It feels really solid. I haven't taken a look at the weight yet, but if I remember correctly from promotions during the Kickstarter and other events surrounding this, it's somewhere on the order of 6 pounds. So that's kind of nice. But it's kind enough to tell us on the back exactly what we're getting. And so before I peel the shrink wrap off, let's take a look at what we're getting. There's a brief description of what Zweihander is. Those of you who watch this channel likely know what Zweihander is, but Zweihander is an award-winning cooperative storytelling game set in a medieval fantasy world. It teaches starting gamers how to create their own fantasy characters who will embark on adventures filled with intrigue, mystery, and supernatural horror. I think this is a very good description of Zweihander. It definitely is very much character forward. There is a lot of attention paid to developing characters, doing it randomly, having these characters develop and that sort of thing. There's a lot of play just in character creation. So they're very much what we consider to be a character-focused game. So having this in the description is very helpful. Then the intrigue, mystery, and supernatural horror aspect, getting the primary genres out there in front of you, I think is also helpful. It claims at the top in bold print, everything you need to play in a beginner-friendly box. There's a picture of the complete contents and then a listing of the contents, and let's go through the listing while we're here. 1 rulebook for creating characters, 1 rulebook for running the game. Secrets of Swansea, feature-length adventure. 6 high-quality polyhedral dice. There are dice. I don't know why that's exciting to me now at this point in my life, but it is. Folding Game Master screen. You can see it here listed. It looks like a 4-panel screen. Folding art poster and village map. I'm going to assume that that village map is going to go with this full feature-length adventure. I'm not sure what is meant by feature length. 13 character profession folios. 9 fortune and misfortune tokens. 18 sliding condition trackers. This is something that I really like now more and more. And we've talked about this on the channel before. If there can be some kind of analog that you can have in play that can communicate silently, visually, to the players what their characters would naturally be able to see, then this is a huge advantage for me. And so something like a condition tracker that can easily be addressed and easily be seen by anybody at the table, this is a huge plus. And 72 clue, injury, and spell cards. Now, your mileage may vary on the utility of these, but for newcomers, or when you come back to the game, or if you play a lot of games and it's difficult to remember which spells and which rules go with which games, these things are always useful. Okay, I just wanted to comment on the box design itself, right? The top cover, the cover of the box is really solid. The art goes all the way around, and the box, right, the lid of the box and the bottom of the box, they're not quite flush, right, which gives it a good feeling in the hand and makes you feel like you can easily take the cover off. This is an aspect of boxes that I've been noticing ever since I was a small child. There's some games it's easy to take the tops off and some where it's not. This is one of the ones where it is. But anyway, let's get rid of the obscuring shrink wrap and take yet another closer look inside this starter kit. Okay, first off, at the top, inside the box, as promised, there are dice. They're described as high-quality dice. I'm going to agree with that. We have the 6 replaced with a mysterious symbol. Right. Isn't that nice? Black and gold, thematic for our fantasy horror theme. We get 3d6s, and we have 2d10 and the tens digit d10. Okay, just what you need to play Zweihander. Then underneath that pack of dice, we have the very, very red player's guide for Zweihander. And if you look closely, you'll see that this icon is not just a black mark, but hints at the corruption beneath, which is thematically very appropriate for Zweihander. We have tables on the back. This is true for the Game Master's Guide as well. The inside covers, well, they're not used for anything, but we get into the player's guide. We start out with the table of contents. This lists as its last item starting on page 98, right? So we go to the very last page in here. There's a couple of pages reserved for notes, and page 98 is the last page of full content, right? So pretty meaty for a player's guide. What's in the player's guide? We've got a welcome to Zweihander, which gives a brief introduction to the setting itself, called A Morally Gray World. Then there's taking one step beyond that into fantasy horror gaming. Then one step beyond that, how is this represented in play? Well, that's corruption, so there's a section on corruption. Then, because we're dealing with dark themes, it brings up the idea of, if you're playing with strangers, that, you know, a conversation may be beneficial for your group to have. So there's a section on RPG safety tools. So for a group of absolutely new players who might stumble across this in a game store or in a Walmart or a Target or a bookstore somewhere and pick it up thinking, I've heard about this role-playing game stuff, but they don't have any of the skills and habits and learned behaviors and group management skills yet, this kind of section is pretty useful. There may be issues of language that will be comforting and familiar to some groups of role players and be off-putting to others, things like consent or asking for permission about things. But the key points, rather than arguing about consent versus consensus, rather than talking about getting to know your friends and being honest with your friends, and instead talking about checklists and check-ins and a variety of things, regardless of the specific methodology, the key point here is to actually care about the people that you're playing with. Is anyone really going to argue with that? There's a section on how to read the book. How is it going to be organized? What are each of the parts for? And some final considerations about, do I or do I not want to play this game? What is this game for? So I like all of that. That's the first 9 pages. Then we get into playing the game, which goes from page 10 to page 19. Right? Talks about the golden rule, how gameplay actually works, what player characters are, what the game master is, what to expect, the dice that are used, how the dice are used, fortune points, misfortune points, and again, we have final considerations. Then we get into chapter 3, which is creating characters, which is from page 20 to page 61. And why is that so long? Because it goes into the generation of those characters and the different qualities that make them up. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. So there's a lot of, it's 61 pages, but you're not reading all 61 pages. You're finding the type of character that you're going to play and then referencing that few number of pages specific to that character. So don't panic. So creating player characters, then we have getting into character, creating your PC, and unlock new abilities. So that takes care of page 20 to 61. Chapter 4, buying trappings, which goes from 62 to 74. This covers currency and economics, services, taverns, survival gear, illumination, medicines and poisons, armor, shields, melee weapons, ranged weapons, and ammunition. This is a player's guide. You are going to be able to play Zweihander with this. Imagine how much more is waiting for you in the core rules. Right? Once you get your grounding here, then there's a lot more you can travel. Number 5, combat and healing is our chapter 5, moving from page 76 all the way through to page 94. I'm not going to list off all those things, but you can just imagine what combat is like, and there's a section for each of those things. And finally, chapter 6 is casting magic, how that works, and that goes from page 96 to 98. Okay. There's a consistent art direction throughout, and although this is a full color, kind of low gloss page, the colors chosen are thematic. You're going to find this same color scheme throughout the entire line, right? You'll be able to visually recognize this Zweihander product, from 100 feet away. It has clear, reasonably sized text. It has this very distinct art style, which has been present for since the beginning, and it's really grown on me. I really quite like it. Easy to read, large tables. Again, they're easy to read from pretty far away. Okay, so this is the player's guide. No wasted space. The player's guide has within it the ability to make characters, but this starter kit comes with these folios, and these folios are simply paper. the part of me that doesn't like their books to get damaged would worry about about these, to be honest. If they were treated as disposable, like it doesn't really matter, they just come out of the core book anyway, so you always have them, you're always safe. That's all true, and that's fine. But there's this part of me that thinks that handing them out to people around the table means that they're not going to come back. So that's kind of funny. So if you're that kind of person, the photocopier may be your friend. But what are they? I'll just pick one. It starts out with a front page of what the occupation is, right? The smuggler, to help you get into the idea of playing this character, and it gives you game mechanics right from the get-go, professional trait, a talent, another talent, and then starting trappings. Then the character details are listed here. Then the two interior pages are the character sheet. And the final page are relevant charts for you. The characters, we talked about how this is a kind of a character-forward game. The character sheet actually is written like this. My name is blank, and I have made a life as a blank profession, right? I am age, gender, ancestry, upbringing, social class. So you're just writing these out as sentences with things that you might actually say to people, right? We've got stature and build and complexion and hairstyle and eyes and distinguishing marks and, the season of your birth and other more supernatural things. The corruption tracker goes across the bottom of the top third, and down each side is a condition tracker. And long ago, when we started this video, you may have heard me mention that there are sliding condition trackers. So that's on this next sheet, right? The damage and peril trackers. And these things are just clips which fit on your character sheet and will slide down the track. Pretty handy. Anybody sitting at the table will be able to see it very clearly. It's not going to obscure anything, so you can still read the information that's on your sheet. So like that. So that's the next thing. Now, how many of these character folios were there? 13. Unless some of them were stuck together, or I counted something twice. So we have the smuggler, the sellsword, the reeve, the pugilist, the jester, the investigator, the gambler, the chosen, the charlatan, the bravo, the bounty hunter, the barber surgeon, and the etherealist. Okay. Now, as I've taken them out of the box, these are all in the reverse order of how they came, but there you go. Then we have a nice thick cardstock double-sided sheet of the fortune and misfortune points, right? So it's fortune on one side and misfortune on the other. They can just be popped out and you're ready to go. They're quite nice. Let's take a closer look at the fortune points. Right. And the misfortune points. Ho ho. Then we have injury cards. There are 2 for each of the types of injury. We have grievous injury, and then a little less is serious injury, and then a little less than that is moderate injury. So, these are just cards, right? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards on each sheet, and they are double-sided with some truly grisly art when you actually look at where the injuries have been taken on this person, and then a description of that injury. So, for example, brain abscess, cerebral contusion, butchered shank, that kind of stuff. So those are kind of fun. And then we have a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sheets of spell cards, right? And they're done exactly the same way. Right? There are 6 spell cards per sheet, and the spell is on the back of the card. Right? And the last sheet, the 6th sheet, has 2 or 3 blank cards that you can use to make your own. Then there are clue cards, which are also double-sided, which I'm not going to show you for spoilery reasons, but clue cards. There's 1, 2, 3 double sheets of clue cards, 1 clue on each side. Then we have a bunch of specific map locations, double-sided on thick, glossy cardstock. I'm going to show one, which is an inn, to give you an idea, right? We kind of have an isomorphic situation going on, right? So we have the Slumber Inn map, and we have the Slumber Inn map. Okay. Pretty cool. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 such specific location maps. That's really slick. And they include, where relevant, grids. So if you're playing with miniatures or on a VTT and that sort of thing, it's easy to sort out. Then we have this large area map, which again, for reasons of spoilers, I don't want to fully unfurl, but it's 1, 2, 3 full panels in length and 4 in width. And it's also double-sided. I mean, it's gigantic. And matching that same art style from the beginning. And it contains the whole area map that this adventure takes part in. Then we have the cover art as a gigantic poster of this size. That's kind of cool. Then we get to the screen. All right. Which is full of characters. Maybe none of whom you would ever want to meet. Maybe some of whom you would want to be. And it's interesting that these are the many, 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 many professions available in the full core rules of Zweihander, right? So it's a nice thematic screen, 4 panels long, same color scheme that we've grown to know and like from the core rules, right? So what is actually in here on your far right is an explanation of how fortune and misfortune are used. So it's kind of convenient for a beginner. Then we have healing and damage, special actions, reactions, attack actions, perilous stunts, movement actions, movement subtypes, lighting, obscurement, and currency, combat conditions, example actions, the difficulty rating, and dispositions for social encounters. Right? So we have a nice smattering of everything. Stuff that you're continually going to be using, even after you are used to playing the game, is dead center. Stuff that you will grow out of using are on the extreme edges. So I think this is a good organizational methodology. In a starter kit, you need this stuff in the screen. There are other screens for Zweihander, so you can move away from it, and they, can fit into one of those fillable plastic screens. Finally, we get to the Game Master's Secrets, which also has charts on the back. And it's a similarly sized, similarly designed, heavy, mild gloss paper It has 91 as its last full page of content. And it's speaking directly to the Game Master about being the Game Master right from the beginning until it gets into this full adventure, the Secrets of Swansea. So where does the Secrets of Swansea start? It starts on page 22 and goes, is it all the way through to the end? Basically. All the maps are here at the end. The expanded bestiary is here at the end. So the Secrets of Swansea itself, before we get to the expanded bestiary, which is chapter 3, it ends on page 57. Right. Then we have the bestiary, and then we have all of the maps in a smaller format for you. And we have anything else? There was something I thought. No, it's maps. Oh yes, Appendix C, injuries. And then some pages for notes at the end. And then the combat conditions at the end. So if you just have the book closed, you can look down and see all the combat conditions, right there in front of you. And then if you have to reference something, then you can open the book up, which is pretty cool. Or if you're in the middle of a combat and you've got it open using the Secrets of Swansea, right? You just flip to the back page and get your combat conditions, which is the type of information that people, especially new to the system, will need to reference. Okay, so that covers our exploration of the Zweihander Fantasy Horror RPG Starter Kit. But there's still more to talk about. The box itself. The quality of the box, as I mentioned earlier, is pretty stellar. Right down to the treatment of Zweihander, which has evolved from printing to printing, from edition to edition throughout the history of the game. And so now has a spot treatment so that we get a rainbow effect, an iridescent effect of different colors depending on the angle at which we look at Zweihander. Just really raises the quality of the box. So there's a lot of stuff in here. We've got high quality paper. The Game Master's Guide and the Player's Guide are stapled under matte covers, but it's full color, heavy, glossy paper. It's not paper that you can really see too much through. They don't feel disposable. They don't feel like you can throw them around. And me personally, I wouldn't want to put one just by itself, in a backpack or bag or whatever. But, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to keep this for a very long time. And if you enjoy this, graduating up to the hardcovers seems like, a pretty easy decision to make. The cards for the maps, the large poster for the region, even this starter Game Master screen, they're sufficient quality to keep you going for a long time. This, will, of course, with folding and unfolding and being put in the box and taken out of the box, is going to take a beating after a while. But like I said, there's other solutions out there, and you can get, other Game Master screens to deal with that. I think you'd be able to keep the card maps in good condition and all of these cards in good condition for quite a while if you're the type to keep things in good condition. And if you're not, well, then it really doesn't matter the original quality much anyway, does it? But what else is there to say? High quality box, high quality contents, interesting game which is being pushed in different directions, coming out as kind of a toolkit that you can use on your own to produce your own fantasy horror stuff or get ready-made. Zweihander's got a lot of interesting stuff going on. As we mentioned in earlier reviews and overviews, a lot of care is taken, things that are easily overlooked. The color choices are there because some of the readers might be colorblind. You're not going to have a problem of dealing with that issue in a Zweihander game. Some of the people reading it may be dyslexic or suffer from other reading conditions. So the print size and the print type and the organization of the text is all done with this in mind. Right? This is a product that aims to be as helpful as it can for the largest number of people that it can. And as a starter set, what do we have? Lots of characters, things that can be handed out with, the character sheet included, in a type of paper that's easy to write on. Might make me uncomfortable as someone who wants to keep the paper forever, but it's a starter set, so we can open the box, pass things out, and go through character creation step by step in the same order, right? Follow the steps in the book, follow the sections on the character sheet, and we're ready to go. And then as we play, we can learn how the dice work. We can see helpful pictures of how the dice work with, friendly text explanations. And it's a D percentile game at its heart. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this quasi in-depth look at the starter kit. If you've never thought about trying Zweihander, this is a very economical way to get into the core of what the game really is on that mechanical and on that setting level, right? What kind of genre is it really embracing, and what are the mechanisms of play that help you bring that out? You will have no questions about that after going through the starter kit. And it's a good representation of the commitment to quality that the game has through its publisher, Anders McMeel, right? This is, in a sense, just a starter kit. It's still high quality. The full game, the core rules, raise that bar even farther. Anyway, enough. Until the next video, take care.